Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination news, newsmakers, talking points. The big talking point this Tuesday night, Kolkata's rape and murder case, is it now tangled in bruising politics? Is this now politics over a rape? Is this a fight for justice or a removal of Mamata Banerjee as chief minister? Has the TMC lost the narrative battle on the streets of Kolkata and Bengal? Also among our special guests today is our newsmaker, Iltija Mufti. He is the latest political inheritor to rise. She will contest the elections in the Kashmir Valley. We'll be speaking to her. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. Kolkata's streets turn into a virtual war zone after a march to the Bengal Secretariat. Nabanna turns violent in some parts. The BJP now calls for a 12-hour Bandh tomorrow. State government says there will be no shutdown, claims the entire march was organized by the BJP. The parents of the victim level a big charge, claim the rape murder crime scene was tampered with. The CBI now seeks a lie detector test on Kolkata cop Anup Datta, an alleged aide of the rape accused Sanjoy Roy. Big fallout in Kerala cinema. Superstar Mohanlal resigns as chief of film body on moral grounds. Minister Suresh Gopi defends harassment accused actor politician Mukesh. BCCI Secretary Jai Shah elected unopposed as ICC chairman, becomes the youngest ever chief of the top cricket body. Shah to take charge from December 1. Shivaji statue collapse now sparks off political controversy in Maharashtra. Shinde government orders probe. Uddhav Sena Neta says that the government was involved in corruption, which is why the statue collapsed. Scam heat mounts on the Congress government in Karnataka. Arjun Kharge and Mallikarjun Kharge's family's trust accused of getting land near a Bengaluru aerospace park. BJP claims nepotism. Congress denies wrongdoing. Big India Today impact. Murder accused Kannada actor Darshan shifted to new jail in Bellary after images of his picnic party at Bengaluru Central Prison trigger a row. Relief for K. Kavita. Supreme Court grants conditional bail to the BRS Neta in the Delhi Liquor Gate case. BRS hails verdict, says Kavita was illegally imprisoned. Another cheetah death at Kuno National Park. Namibian cheetah Pawan found dead in the wild over drowning. 12 adult and 12 cheetah cubs are now left at Kuno. But our top story of the day, where anger spilled onto the streets of Bengal with the Nabanna Chalo March organized by a little-known student organization, turning the capital Kolkata into a battlefield in some parts. What began as a peaceful march quickly escalated into a protesters versus police face-off. The ruling TMC claims the march was orchestrated by the BJP. The left and the Congress both stayed away from it, claiming that the Sangh Parivar was taking it over. The BJP, though, is pressing ahead, calling for a 12-hour Bandh tomorrow and insists that the Mamata Banerjee government must take responsibility for the tragic rape and murder in a Kolkata hospital. Our top story tonight is Battle Zone Bengal.
Never before seen anger on the streets of Bengal against Mamata Banerjee government. The Nabanna Abhiyan, a march to the state secretariat called by the Chhatra Parishad or students' body against the Mamata Banerjee government for failing Kolkata's Abhay. The young doctor raped and murdered in the RG Kaur hospital. The protesters broke barricades. Cops resorted to water cannons. Fired tear gas shells. And lathi-charged protesters.
There are two of these specialized, water cannons that's being continuously used to get the protesters dispersed.
The stir turned violent when protesters retaliated and attacked the police officers on duty.
We can see over here that tear shells are being burst, plus, water cannons are being used continuously to drive them back. One more of the tear shell is being burst to, push the crowd back, But many of them are still here. We can see clearly that many of them are still here.
Protesters are asking for justice for Abhaya, who was raped while on duty and killed mercilessly. The BJP later took out a march to Kolkata police headquarters, demanding the release of arrested protesters. The party has called for general strike from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Wednesday.
जिस तरीके की हिंसा उनके ऊपर की गई, इसके विरोध में भारतीय जनता पार्टी और मुख्यमंत्री की रेजिग्नेशन की डिमांड पे कल सार्वजनिक बंद का जनरल स्ट्राइक का आह्वान किया है 12 घंटे की, कल सुबह 6 बजे से लेकर शाम के 6 बजे तक.
The ruling TMC claimed the Nabanna Abhiyan was orchestrated by the BJP.
अब देखिए भाजपा वो नबान्न अभियान कर रहा है, कांग्रेस सपोर्ट कर रहा है, सीपीएम वालों मुंह में जो भी चाहे बोले, लेकिन उसका जो सब ये प्रोटेस्ट वो जो मंच प्लेटफॉर्म्स है वो लोग सब जाने का बात कर रहा है.
The Mamata Banerjee government has issued a notification rejecting the strike called by the BJP. All state government employees are directed to attend office on Wednesday. Public transport and other services will be available. With Suryagni Roy, Ritik Mondal and Shreya Chatterjee in Kolkata, Bureau Report, India Today.
The Kolkata rape case, is it now tangled in bruising and polarized politics? Is this a campaign now for justice for the victim of the horrific Kolkata rape and murder, or simply about the removal of Mamata Banerjee as Chief Minister? Has TMC lost the narrative battle to the opposition? Is a street protest an answer to providing justice? Has this protest now been taken over by the BJP? Joining me now is Syed Zafar Islam, the BJP senior spokesperson and former member of parliament. I'm joined by Saket Gokhale, the TMC MP, joined by Fuad Halim, the leader of the CPIM, and by Jayanto Ghoshal, senior journalist. I appreciate all of you joining us. I also want to make a disclosure. My wife, Sagrika Ghosh, is a TMC MP. I have no interest at all beyond asking the questions. And the first question is to you, Saket Gokhale, because the fact is that these images that are played out all day across channels will be seen as yet another evidence that the Mamata Banerjee government is losing the narrative to the opposition, which is hitting the streets, the BJP in particular, and saying, look, we want the Chief Minister's resignation, that these protests, according to the BJP, are organic.
Thank you, Mr. Sardesai. I mean, you nailed it. You nailed it when you said it, that the images that are being run on TV, I'm astonished that no channels running the images of all the Kolkata police officers who were grievously injured today with the stone pelting done by these so-called protesters. I mean, those images shown will also help people objectively make up their minds over whether this was a real protest or whether this was hooliganism. Second thing, see, that's the difference. The BJP needs a narrative because they've been defeated at the elections in 21. in 24. The same goes for the CPM. They need a narrative. We do not need a narrative. Right from day one, what we've been saying is that we stand for justice for the victim. In fact, the Honorable Chief Minister had given directions to the Kolkata police that by Sunday, she said that on Tuesday, by Sunday, if the case is not closed, I will hand it over to the CBI. Now, what happened was that the High Court, in its wisdom, decided to immediately hand over the case to the CBI. The case has been with them. I have a very, very, very simple question today. If anyone is protesting for justice, today the CBI has the accused, arrested by Kolkata police, the DNA evidence and the forensics. Now they've opened a second case against the principal Sandeep Ghosh on some corruption-related charges. See, these two are mutually exclusive. I'm saying nail Sandeep Ghosh if he's done corruption. But why is that stopping the CBI from filing a charge sheet in the RG Kaur rape and murder incident? What are they waiting for? They're waiting for so that the BJP can politicize this incident, take the streets hostage, indulge in violence, because the CBI, the probe is done. They should file the charge sheet immediately and start the trial.
I'll come back to you, and I'll come back to Mamata Banerjee's lapses that I'm going to list out, since you're claiming that you all have handled this case properly.
No, we haven't. No. There were a few lapses. I will admit with all humility that we might have done 99 things right. We definitely did one or two wrong. But we are biological. It's the non-biologicals who don't make any mistakes and don't admit them for 10 years. We admit that there have certain things we could have done better, and we are working on making them better.
I'll come to specific mistake, but Syed Zafar Islam, while we play these images, look at some of the images of arson, of clearly attempts being made to what many would believe is hooliganism. Are all these people who have come out on the street Chhatra, are they really students? Or was the agitation taken over by the BJP? That's the charge the left has made. That's the charge the Congress has made. And when I look at some of those visuals, what do you expect the police to do if the protesters also no longer resort to peaceful protest but resort to arson?
Rajdeep, you have to understand sentiments of the people of West Bengal. How Mamata Banerjee has behaved, how the administration has behaved, how people have been actually ignored, and their sentiments have been actually completely ignored by the administration of Mamata Banerjee, and particularly Mamata Banerjee as well, because everything was done under her instruction. She happened to be the chief minister, she happened to be the home minister, she happened to be the health minister, yet what she has done, one or two lapses, what he is talking, Mr. Mukherjee is talking about, I think if the people, they need to speak to the people of West Bengal, they know it's only lapses, and not lapses, it is intentional.
Does that justify arson, sir? Does that justify the kind of arson that we have seen on streets? I asked you a simple question. Are these students, or has this been taken over by the BJP, sir?
Not at all. Why would BJP indulge in arson and all? It is the people's agitation. The students will be there. People will be there for sure. But why they are on the street? Because in a democratic process, everyone has the right to protest, but they are not being allowed to protest peacefully. Their demands are not being heard because there is a dictator sitting in the form of Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal, and that is what she's trying to impose. Things what she thinks is appropriate and ignoring the sentiment of the people. That's why there is an agitation by the people.
So you're saying it's a democratic agitation by the people, and organic agitation against the Mamata Banerjee government. Fuad Halim, the CPIM has chosen to distance itself from the protests that took place today, and on record the CPIM claimed that this entire agitation had now been taken over by the BJP and RSS. Is the CPIM saying that what we saw today on the street are organic protests or organized political protests?
Well, this is an orchestrated protest which is reveals a bonhomie between what the Trinamool needs at this point of time for getting as a backdoor exit from the imbroglio. All of its minions, including the top echelons, are involved with. Now, one has to see what is coming out in terms of evidence and why the Bharatiya Janata Party leadership, who are all Trinamool people, are trying to take a leaf out of the way Trinamool behaved during the left regime. And the Trinamool is comfortable because they want this conversation to overshadow the exact processes that are raising unanswerable questions. What are the unanswerable questions? The Trinamool, Saket Gokhale is kind enough to say that on behalf of the TMC there have been certain lapses, but it's not his responsibility. Is the chief minister who should come across and say, is the commissioner of the Calcutta police who should come across and say that they are not being able to answer the questions being raised by the Supreme Court. On the day of the body was discovered on 9th of August, you got people from the forensic medicine department hovering around the body in the seminar room from more than one medical college. You got members of the medical council of West Bengal who are present there in the seminar room. You got people who are coming as lawyers who are there, whereas the mother and the father were not allowed to see the dead body in the seminar room. Lapse is a very, very what you call unfortunate word that my dear friend is using. This is criminalization of the administration over here.
So you're making a distinction. You're saying those questions remain unanswered, but at the same time, you're not willing to associate yourself with the protests taking place on the street or the ones that took place today. Am I correct?
See, that there is a general anger in the people of West Bengal, and this anger is being reflected at different levels. If you look at the entire medical fraternity, the students, the junior doctors, the residents, and the senior doctors, they are in unison. You got the people of West Bengal who are protesting simultaneously on various fronts. Today, we have held our own protests across West Bengal. Over here, you have a situation where you have these fake, what you call student leaders who come across, and the BJP says we are going to support them. Suvendu Adhikari is trying to help the TMC get out of this tight situation. Mamata Banerjee, Abhishek Banerjee can't be seen. They've not made a statement for the past 10 days. They can't face the people of West Bengal.
Well, that's not true. Fawad Halim, that's not true. They've made statements. I think we have to be, the problem with politicians. Sir, 1 minute. The problem with politicians.
The past 10 days.
Yeah, they've made statements. We've seen those statements. She even led a protest which many say question that because Jayanto Ghoshal, the truth of the matter is Mamata Banerjee, many believe, has lost the narrative. The fact is that Trinamool Congress has not been able to address some of the questions, and I'll come to each of them in a moment, that have been raised by objective personalities. Forget politicians. People who are concerned about the rape and murder without politicizing it have raised questions that the Mamata Banerjee government has been unable to answer. Real-time information, and the entire narrative has spiraled out of control.
Rajdeep, thank you. Rajdeep, there are two aspects of this story. The one aspect is that rape and the murder. It's a terrible incident, and it is true that there is a very strong anguish and anger in the civil society, and several, the processions and the protest rallies are. We are onlooker of those things in Calcutta today. But today what happened is another aspect, that this is the normal, organic, spontaneous catharsis of the people of the West Bengal. Now, today, it has become a political party's program. And although BJP said that we are supporting, but it's a student front, I don't know why they have not announced it, that it is their program. What Arjun Singh was doing in the students' movement. We have seen the footage. And the junior doctor said that they are not participating in this demonstration. I think BJP could have waited to see the Calcutta civil society's normal, natural, organic frustration, and BJP thought that they are in hurry. And these two issues are different. One is resignation of the chief minister. Just few months back, they got the mandate. And now you are demanding the resignation, the ultimate. But you made your
priority
has been diluted.
You're making
priority has been diluted. What is the priority?
Okay, let Syed Zafar. No, 1 minute. Let Syed Zafar Islam.
The chief minister.
Okay, let Syed Zafar Islam respond. Syed Zafar Islam, is the BJP making the mistake, and the charge is being made by the left also on this program, of being so openly political about this agitation? Your leaders are out on the street, and you call it a students' protest.
Rajdeep, you have to understand two things, very, very important things. I think all of you are missing. We had approached the administration for protest. We didn't get the approval. We had to approach the Honorable Court for seeking approval to protest against Mamata Banerjee's administration, who has been orchestrated, responsible for this murder and hiding this murder and rape case, and somehow trying to protect the rapists. So something which we wanted to expose and protest against the lack of approach, the correct approach of the Mamata administration, but we didn't get the approval. So you see the dictatorial approach Mamata Banerjee has, and everyone is frustrated there. And it is the civil society, it is the common man on the street who is protesting. And
no, but there are BJP flags all over. Syed Zafar Islam, why not, as Jayanto is saying, why not admit we are protesting? Why doesn't the BJP say we are protesting? Why go under the banner of an unknown student organization?
We are, it is only Bharatiya Janata Party who is making noise there. We have actually taken.
So that's also not true. The left is also protesting. That is not true again. You see, politicians do not tell the truth, sir. The left is also protesting. It's not as if the left has not protested. But I want to come to the blunders. 1 minute. The series of blunders, Saket Gokhale, what you call lapses, I want to once again reiterate them. And I want to cut through the noise to do them. Assistant Superintendent of RG Kar Hospital told the family of the victim that she died by suicide on day 1. Lapse number 1. Number 2, FIR was filed after post-mortem and handover of body to family. That's also confirmed. I'm only going by what is confirmed.
That's not what the Supreme Court said.
No, just a minute. Just a minute. The Supreme Court asked the question 14 hours. You can defend it by saying unnatural death was recorded in the morning. The fact was FIR formally is at 11:30. Number 3, RG Kar principal Dr. Sandeep Ghosh, instead of being asked to quit, was posted to another college within hours. Number 4, a mob entered RG Kar Hospital, vandalized the premises, unacceptable in any society. The TMC failed to respond to the social media challenge. As a result, real-time information, including false information that there was a gang rape, reached out into the public. It was not countered effectively enough. Mamata Banerjee, Chief Minister herself, goes on her own street protest. She's the Health and Home Minister. It didn't cut ice. And there was no reach out to the junior doctors who are still protesting. Why not accept? Sometimes why not accept, yes, we got this wrong. Nobody is blaming you for the actual rape and murder. But the manner in which it was handled clearly shows incompetence at different levels. Why not say mea culpa?
No, Mr. Sardesai, with absolute due respect, and every media channel is entitled to their questions. But when you said about social media, what you said about questions, I've personally been at the forefront of battling a lot of disinformation over the last 13 days. What we've seen is that the questions have been, look, people, we can't do anything about them on social media. But where does it start from? Your own channel did a show calling it Dr. Goswami, saying 150 grams of semen found. Your reporter claims, I've seen the autopsy report, when there is nothing like that. How responsible has the media been when fact-checking itself? Number 1. So these questions might be asked, but if you look at the coverage of the media, they've not covered themselves in glory as far as factual reporting goes. I'm not talking only about your channel, I'm talking about the media in general. Number 2, I'm sorry, but it greatly amuses me. I mean, what you said about politicians not being honest. Mr. Zafar Islam was talking about protests today. Let me remind him that his government, in whichever state there is a BJP government, what do when there is an alleged stone pelting by protesters? The next day the bulldozer goes to their houses. So we don't need lectures from BJP on how people have a right to protest and what they do. If today a bunch of people would be protesting onto the PMO, I would like to see what the Delhi police and the BJP would have done. If they were stone pelting, I would like to see what the Delhi police would have done. These guys, so even when there is no stone pelting, they look at the clothes of the protester and they send a bulldozer to their house. We saw what happened in Madhya Pradesh a few days ago. So please, Mr. Zafar Islam, people know the truth about your party. Let's not underestimate the people's intelligence. And the last point, Mr. Sardesai, about the narrative. Let me jog everybody's memory and take you back about 3 months when we saw tourist media coming from Delhi and Noida, BJP running the whole Sandesh Kali propaganda. What happened eventually? Turned out it was a land issue that all of you were trying to turn into some gang rape, murder, women's issue. The people of Barashat gave their response at the elections.
Saket.
The elections happened. And sorry, let me also point out that there were mood of the nation surveys at that point saying how anti-incumbency, Mamata Banerjee is the narrative, Sandesh Khali is a Waterloo. We are not here for narratives. We are here to get justice for the victim and to govern the state.
But
Whoever wants to indulge in narratives can do that.
would you concede, Saket Gokhale? Let's assume that the media spread wrong news, the social media in particular, disinformation was spread, the semen theory, the gang rape theory, there was misinformation spread. But the fact of the matter is the empathy was missing. Junior doctors want a sense of empathy, want to feel that the government of the day in Bengal is standing shoulder to shoulder with them. And that has not been seen. There is an empathy factor. You cannot deny that this constant combativeness is not going to get you anywhere.
I'll be very honest with you. Like I said, we might have done 99 things right. We might have missed one. I'm not saying we were perfect. I'm not saying that if we were to go back, things would be done in the same manner. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, with the amount of conspiracy theories being spread on social media by the BJP IT cell, with the kind of things that are coming out, look, this was politicized. This is one Trinamool Congress government. We are fighting an onslaught of three parties, the Congress, the CPM and the BJP, who have made a great alliance for themselves in West Bengal. Our might and their might combined together with the BJP and the government of India and the CBI together. Mr. Sardesai, look, we don't have a big IT cell. We don't have a disinformation network. We don't have it. We tried to counter as much as we could. But the
fact, Mr. Gokhale, is that all these parties, the Congress at least is supposed to be your ally, but even they in
No, it's
West
not
Bengal,
an ally. No, Mr. Sardesai, they fielded candidates against us in the election. We have never allied with the Congress. We've never fought elections together with the Congress, so that is wrong.
Okay, so you're part of the India Alliance, but you're not part of them in Bengal.
No, there is no India. Okay. Where is the India Alliance?
Okay, there's no India Alliance. Okay, there's no India Alliance. You've given us
Congress
a news point. There is no India Alliance. Okay,
Congress is not our ally. Congress is not our ally. I'm saying that straightforward.
Okay, they're not an ally. There's no India Alliance.
They've never been an ally. No, they field candidates against us.
Okay. You claim to be part of an India Alliance before the election nationwide, but in Bengal you're not. But Fuad Alim, you see, the fact is that you need to separate issues. There is the issue of the rape and murder, and by all accounts, including DNA, forensics, autopsy, all suggest that the Kolkata police actually caught the right person in 24 hours. Since then, there has been a lot of misinformation spread, which has been unfortunate in that regard, including gang rape theories, semen theories, all proven wrong. Are you going to give the police a break? Forget about the government for a moment. I'm making a distinction. The Mamata Banerjee government's incompetence can be discussed separately. But in terms of RG Kar, the principal, for example, not being sacked. But the truth of the matter is, aren't you confusing issues, Fuad Alim? The left, at least, when it calls for justice, should at least accept that the right person has been caught. Why not ask the CBI to ensure, as Saket Gokhale is saying, file a charge sheet immediately? I had a police officer yesterday on my program who said within a month the person can be tried and prosecuted.
Well, the person who has been arrested was a civic volunteer who was staying illegally in a police barrack. You have to understand, he was using a police motorcycle which was not issuable to him. And the Calcutta Police Commissioner has taken no steps in that regard. A criminal, if I take your words that he is the accused and he is the culprit and we do not have to look beyond him, he was existing within the Calcutta police apparatus, working for the Trinamool Congress as a Trinamool Congress agent in the welfare department, using police facilities to continue his illegal activities, which, if I take your words, ended up in the murder and the rape of this girl perpetrated by him. And the Calcutta police has taken no step as yet. You know, there's a lot of misinformation, and I sincerely believe that the Trinamool Congress is also partly responsible for creating that misinformation as a cloud so that real issues get what you call fudged up.
What is the real issue according to you, Mr. Ali? What is the real issue?
There is a mafia running in the hospital setup in West Bengal.
Okay.
Mafia.
You're saying the corruption. You're saying the corruption, the mafias in the hospitals are the real issue. You see that.
Let me just qualify what I'm saying. MBBS students have to pay money to pass. You got postgraduate trainees like this girl who was murdered, who when they have to submit their thesis, have to pay money. This principal in RG Medical College had bouncers, private bouncers in the principal's office.
As is Mr. Halim an investigator?
What is happening here in West Bengal? And this... No, Saket, you're not from Bengal. You don't know what.
If you have this evidence, go to the CBI. No, Mr.
That
Ali,
evidence
if
is
you have
already
evidence,
there.
go to the
Please ask
CBI.
your MP.
No,
Please
just a minute, just a
ask
minute.
your former
You know,
colleague Shantanu Sen, who was in the office when the principal's bouncer was fighting with the people, with the new principal who had come to replace him.
Mr. Ali,
Your
go to the CBI.
colleague Shantanu Sen was there in the office.
Okay.
Please ask him. The evidence is there.
Mr. Ali,
hold on.
hold on. Saket Gokhale,
I am
please
not
don't.
talking of
No, Saket
misinformation.
Gokhale, each person gets equal time. He did not intervene when you spoke. I want to though bring in Jayanto Ghoshal. Just a minute. Jayanto Ghoshal, all of this makes the Trinamool Congress, the allegations that have been there in the past, that Bengal has become a party state, that Bengal has become a state where there is this lumpenization that has taken place. All the chickens are coming home to roost, many believe. That this incident highlights perhaps that after 13 years in power, Mamata Banerjee needs to reboot or she will be booted out. Do you go along with that?
No, Rajdeep, you have to accept one thing, that it's a law of nature, that there are several fault lines in the system. Especially health is a very sensitive department. I remember when Jyoti Basu was chief minister, the corruption of the health system was there and Prashant Toshur, the then health minister, resigned. So this is a system. And when CBI is inquiring, now possibility of ED also is there. So why don't you wait for some time? Because who raised?
Is this in the process?
CBI
That's
is
the criminal investigation, Mr. Ghoshal. But do you concede the longer this continues, Mamata Banerjee's government has serious questions to answer over its administration. The manner in which these people like Dr. Ghosh are appointed, people now against whom there are corruption charges being made, all of this raises the question about the lumpenization of government at some level.
No, actually, this is the opportunity also for Mamata Banerjee to correct the fault lines. And I think she will do that. I mean, you have to accept one fact that there are a lot of system failures also. Mamata Banerjee is now, she is also very serious to correct those fault lines. And, the parents of the victim also admitted one thing, that Chief Minister West Bengal first raised for CBI. So there is no hide and seek. Okay. If CBI can investigate the whole thing, and I think now there should be a political consensus because it's a human issue, it's a social issue. Now you have to address this.
The fact is that Bengal's politics has been polarized. When Mamata Banerjee was in the opposition, she would organize bands and strikes against the left government. Now it's the BJP which is doing it to the Mamata Banerjee government. In a sense, the past has come back to haunt her. This is a moment either she reboots, course corrects, accepts the lapses, or she will find possibly that the opposition gets even greater strength in the days ahead. What we've seen today, in a sense, therefore, suggests that Bengal remains a state on the edge. Saket Gokhale, Fuad Alim, Safar Islam, and Jayanto Ghoshal, appreciate all of you joining me on my top talking point today. When politics takes over, what happens to the fight for justice? At the end of the day, please remember, a young girl with dreams in her eyes went to that hospital, a place of healing, to educate herself and become a fine doctor. She was raped and murdered. The first step should be justice for her above all else. And then administrative incompetence, and whoever is responsible for that must also be held accountable. Politics, on the other hand, will mean that justice could get lost. Let's turn to another state where there is a big fight taking place, in the state of Maharashtra. And what's the fight about here? Over the Shivaji statue that collapsed. Remember, yesterday the Chhatrapati Shivaji statue in Sindhudurg collapsed, and it sparked a political tussle in a state that's going to the polls in a few months. Inaugurated by the Prime Minister last December, the Uddhav Sena claims corruption led to the statue's collapse within a few months. The Shinde government, on the other hand, has now put the blame on the Indian Navy, which had commissioned the project initially. Take a look.
The statue of Chhatrapati Shivaji in pieces. Just 8 months after it was unveiled at the Rajkot Fort in Malwan in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the Navy Day. The statue was installed by the Indian Navy and Maharashtra government had paid 2.36 crore rupees for the project. The fall of the statue has sparked a political fight in an election year. Shiv Sena UBT MLA Vaibhav Nayak vandalized the local PWD office alleging corruption. Deputy CM Devendra Fadnavis urged the opposition not to politicize the incident.
हो सकता है कि नेवी ने जिनको काम दिया था उन्हें ये आकलन नहीं हुआ कि यहाँ पर कितने जोरों से हवाएं चलती है और समुद्र के किनारे किस तेजी से जो हमारा जो लोहा होता है वो जंग खाता है और हमने संकल्प किया है कि नेवी की मदद से बहुत ही भव्य और बहुत ही मजबूत पुतला वहाँ पर लगाया जाएगा।
लोकमान्य टिलक का पुतला बनाया था 1933 में समुद्र, वहाँ भी हवा है, वो भी समुद्र है, वो आज भी मजबूती से खड़ा है लोकमान्य टिलक का पुतला। लेकिन 8 महीने में सिंधुदुर्ग किले का छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज का पुतला जिस तरह से उध्वस्त हो गया हमने देखा, वो बहुत बड़ी चोट है। भ्रष्टाचार उस काम में है जहां राष्ट्रभक्ति का नाम लिया जाता है।
Chhatrapati Shivaji's descendant and former MP Sambhaji Raje Chhatrapati claimed the statue was built in a hurry. He posted on X the letter he wrote to Prime Minister Modi last, complaining about the alleged shortcomings. The Eknath Shinde government has ordered an investigation.
This is the flat of sculptor Rajdeep Apte. Rajdeep Apte is the same sculptor who sculpted the statue, the bronze statue of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, which was installed at a fort in Sindhudurg. This statue was unveiled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh was present during the ceremony. Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde and Deputy Chief Ministers were present during that ceremony. Now, yesterday, this statue collapsed, and after that, an FIR has been registered against Rajdeep Apte, who was the sculptor, and the structural consultant Chetan Patil of Kolhapur.
The government says the initial findings indicate rust may have caused the statue's collapse. With Bharat Kesarkar and Mustafa Sheikh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's turn from there to Jammu and Kashmir, where the stage is set for the first election in the state in 10 years. Today, nominations close for the first phase of the polls. And one of the candidates who will be looked at closely is former Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti's daughter Iltija, who's making her electoral debut. She filed her papers from the family stronghold of Bijbehara in South Kashmir. It's been a traditional bastion of the PDP and has been represented by several senior leaders of the party over the years. Iltija's main challenger will be the National Conference candidate Dr. Bashir Veeri, who was accompanied by former Chief Minister Omar Abdullah as he filed his nomination from Bijbehara. And joining me now is Iltija Mufti, the latest political daughter in a way to rise, the daughter of former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti and the candidate from Bijbehara in this elections in Jammu and Kashmir. Appreciate your joining us, Iltija. You're making your political debut in an election where your mother has chosen to opt out, saying she doesn't want to be part of an election so long as Article 370 is not in place. So you're contesting, but your mother is not. How do we read that?
Yes. I mean, first of all, you have to disassociate us in the sense that my mother is her own person and I'm my own person. And frankly, you know, I had a chat with my mother as well about not wanting to contest because a lot of party leaders and party workers wanted her to contest. But I think Miss Mehbooba Mufti feels very emotional, you know, about the fact that she cannot imagine stepping into the same assembly because it was a completely different assembly when she was in it last. We had a semi-autonomous status. Jammu Kashmir had its own flag. It had residuary powers. It had its own constitution. So that's not a decision that anybody can impose upon her. And I think she and me, we are very different individuals. Just because I am her daughter does not mean that we're cut from the same cloth.
But the fact is,
So
no,
it's not necessary for us
no,
to
it's
have
not. So
the
are you
same
saying?
opinion.
No. So are you saying on Article 370 you have a very different opinion to your mother? You believe, because the fact is the government of India has made it
Absolutely
clear
not.
there's no question of going back on Article 370. It's gone.
Rajdeep, we feel very strongly about, the illegal abrogation of Article 370. And let me make one thing very clear. Just because I am fighting this election does not mean that by any stretch of the imagination, I endorse the illegal abrogation of Article 370. But I want to make one thing very clear. We are not going to cede any democratic space to the BJP or its proxies. Just because I am contesting does not mean that I endorse their decision of illegally abrogating Article 370. And in fact, if you remember 5 years ago when we spoke for the first time, for your channel, I was very vociferous about my opposition, to the whole, not just about the manner in which it was done in stealth, but also, the entire process of abrogating it. They had no right to abrogate it. They had no mandate and it was done illegally. So my contesting this election by no means does it mean that I endorse this decision. In fact, I'm going to go into the floor of the assembly, God willingly, inshallah, and I'm going to speak about this,
But
just as I have in the past 5 years.
But Intija, the fact is that this election also seems to be a battle for relevance for the PDP. The National Conference has gone ahead, tied up with the Congress. The BJP is hoping to dominate the Jammu region. Where does this leave the PDP at the moment? The PDP seems to be squeezed out. The battle seems to be NC Congress versus BJP.
Rajdeep, you have to understand that in the past 5 years, the reason why PDP witnessed a mass exodus of sorts was because it was orchestrated and it was done at the behest of Delhi. They understood that Miss Mehbooba Mufti, unlike other regional parties and heads in Kashmir, was not pliable and she was not going to compromise on her stand. And because of this, an entire split was orchestrated in the party. ED, CBI, name any of the agencies, and they were deployed. And people in our party were forced, they were blackmailed, they were intimidated, and they were made to leave. Having said that, of course, we're going through a very rough patch. And when you introduced me at the beginning of your show, I found it a little ironic and amusing because the whole media is painting this as sort of like a daughter rise. It's not, Rajdeep. I am entering politics at a time when it is tumultuous, not just for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, but also for the People's Democratic Party. I am unlike any other, political family member where sort of like, there's a crown that's been put on my head. I am actually inheriting a party that stands at its weakest right now. But having said that, we will bounce back. And even if you look at our performance in the parliament, it was quite incredible for a party that's witnessed such a mass exodus. But we are going to keep fighting. Just because other parties are, getting together and trying to push us in one corner does not mean that we're going to cede our space or give up, our idea or vision of the Jammu and Kashmir as my grandfather, Marhum Mufti Muhammad Sayyid Saab, had envisaged.
No, but the fact is somewhere the PDP has in the past been branded by the BJP as being pro-militant. Now you've got a situation where your PDP is part of the India Alliance,
you've
the
been
NC.
branded by the BJP as?
No.
Rajdeep,
Yes.
let me ask you, what does their spokesperson keep calling you? You know the kind of vile language, the kind of profanities they use against their political opponents. They brush us all with they paint us all with the same brush. So if you expect me to take what they say seriously, I'm not going to do that.
No, but
I don't take any of their criticism or even opinion seriously.
No, but ma'am, the point I'm raising is that Mehbooba Mufti ji, Omar Abdullah, Farooq Abdullah were all part of the India Alliance. Now we seem to find the India Alliance splintering in Jammu and Kashmir during these elections. The NC and Congress, as I said, coming together, the PDP isolated. Do you all feel isolated? Is this now a do or die battle for the Mufti family, a party started by your grandfather who ironically contested from Bij Bihara all those years ago?
Rajdeep, you understand politics better than me. In politics, nothing is permanent. Like Marx says, it's a circulation of elites. somebody who's in opposition for a term then comes into power in the next term. So whatever you see here is all very temporary. And you spoke about how the PDP is being cornered. I agree with you. I don't know why that's being done, but of course that is true to a certain extent. But that is why I'm entering politics right now, because I feel that my mother needs me not just because I am her daughter, but she needs me as the party president, and I am going to work like any ordinary PDP karyakarta, like any other ordinary PDP worker, and I'm going to take the party back to where it was. Because let's not forget, PDP is the only party in the history of Jammu and Kashmir that became a feasible, viable, acceptable, legitimate alternative to the National Conference. And this was something that was done by my grandfather and my mother, and it took decades. And so this is what I have in mind. I'm not coming in at a time when everything is hunky-dory and they're coming and they're anointing me as her political heir and I have this crown on my head. It's not like that at all. But does that mean I'm going to give up? Certainly not. I'm going to keep fighting for my grandfather's party. It's not just his party. It's thousands and lakhs of our workers who believe in the vision of People's Democratic Party for a peaceful Jammu and Kashmir, for a Jammu and Kashmir where you have peace with dignity, where you have dialogue, reconciliation with all stakeholders for a larger solution of the problem.
You know, what for you then is this election about? You say peace with dignity, but this is the first election after 10 years. This is the first election post the effective abrogation of Article 370. What is this election, according to you, in Jammu and Kashmir all about?
Well, I think first of all, I was glad that this election was called, because for the past over 6 years now, people have not had their representatives. Forget about having their representatives. You know that Kashmir has been lying in sort of like a limbo, Jammu and Kashmir. Democracies, it's not just democracy that's suspended, even your fundamental rights, the right to speak. Now, as an MLA, as somebody who, inshallah, is going to go into the assembly, I want to articulate the grievances of our people. And right now, the immediate priority for me right now is to secure them in the sense that give them a sense of safety. Because you see, Rajdeep, the people of Jammu and Kashmir for the past 5 years, different farmans and orders and decrees are issued from thousands of kilometers away from people in Delhi who have absolutely no stake here. And you have an LG here who's sitting on our heads and he behaves like a viceroy. He has no political accountability, yet he behaves as the political executive. There's a deep fear amongst the people of Jammu and Kashmir that their resources, their land, their jobs, everything is being outsourced. And there's a sense that even their religion is under threat from the government of India. So I want to give them not just a sense of safety, but also a sense of dignity, a sense of security.
But how will you respond to those who will say that at the end of the day, your entry into politics only confirms what the BJP and the Prime Minister have been saying, that the Valley parties, NC and PDP are essentially party of dynasties. The Muftis on one side, the Abdullahs on the other.
So Chirag Paswan is not a dynast. Chirag Paswan is not a dynast. Anurag Thakur is not a dynast. Jagan Reddy, who was their alliance partner, he's not a dynast. So you have a problem with dynasts only when they're against you. I am pretty sure tomorrow, God forbid, I have no plans of joining BJP, but if any of these parties had an alliance with the BJP, everything would be hunky-dory. You see, anything and everything that the BJP says has to be seen through the prism of, their own strategic interests of what suits them. What is not convenient, then you're very conveniently dubbed as a family party. But let me tell you, Mufti Sahab and Mehbooba ji have been unlike any political party which is seen as to be run by a family. If you see Mufti Sahab, my grandfather struggled for decades, Rajdeep. I can literally count on my fingers the number of elections he won. It was only when my mother, when Miss Mehbooba Mufti entered politics, that he got a chance to be the chief minister, which was his dream. It was his dream for a purpose, because he wanted to see a happy, a peaceful Jammu and Kashmir. So we are unlike any other political families, and this is not something that I even need to prove to the BJP. But please explain to me, why don't they have a problem with Chirag Paswan? Why don't they have a problem with Anurag Thakur? Why don't they have a problem with other political families, with the Badals, who until recently were their allies? Why do they just have a problem with us? Is it because we're Muslims?
No,
is it because they're Muslims? Is it because I'm from a Muslim majority state?
That's a contentious, provocative statement that you've just made. The irony is, of course, that Mufti Saab tied up with the BJP, tied up with Narendra Modi exactly a decade ago. The wheel has come full circle.
For a purpose. For a purpose, Rajdeep. He tied up with Modi ji for a purpose, for a reason. कहते हैं ना, when you take a decision, it's your intention, it's your niyat which matters. If Mufti Sahab wanted to usurp a seat, a throne, which everybody projects that we were sort of like power hungry, he would have gone with the Congress. The reason being, the reason why they allied with the BJP was because he thought that if Vajpayee ji could be moderated, so could Modi ji. But unfortunately, that did not happen. He thought that he could moderate Modi ji if a coalition was formed between BJP and a Muslim regional party in Kashmir. But that didn't happen. But that doesn't mean that his intention was wrong. Otherwise, if he just wanted power, Rajdeep, he could have even allied with the Congress.
Am I right, though, to say that post-elections you hope to craft a coalition that will include NC and the Congress? Is the BJP the party now that you will try and keep away the Gupkar alliance that you had formed after Article 370 was abrogated? Is it still in shape? Is the India alliance still in place?
Rajdeep, on one hand,
are you very clear that the BJP is your enemy number one? Or is the NC Congress your enemy number one?
Well, on one hand, your first two questions was about how PDP is being written off and we have no scope or space in the alliance. And now you're asking me a question which is completely like diametrically opposite.
No, if you get 4 or 5 seats, who will you align with?
When we began the interview...
No, who will you align with? If post-election you have 4 or 5 seats, who will you align with?
That's a question that is best directed at Miss Mehbooba Mufti, because you are forgetting I'm a very small purza in PDP. I am not somebody who's going to take such important, crucial decisions. But obviously, if it comes to an alliance, we would want to support. We are not going to.
Yeah, you're not going to support the BJP, right?
Yeah.
No question of supporting the BJP.
Of course not, Rajdeep. Of course not. But this is a question which is best directed at Miss Mehbooba Mufti. But I find it quite amusing that on one hand, you're writing us off, and on the other hand, you're making us to be these kingmakers, which of course I hope that we are going to be, because at the end of the day, an alliance is, about those 5-6 seats and who that party decides to support.
Okay. So you hope to be kingmaker or queenmaker after this election. We look forward, though, to your political debut. What's the most difficult thing to make this transition now to becoming a full-time politician, ma'am?
Oh my God, I don't know where to begin from. It's been incredible. It's been an incredible experience, but I wasn't expecting to do this. I didn't think that my life would, sort of like culminate here. And the reason why I really wanted to speak to you was because I felt that my life has come full circle. If you remember 5 years ago, it was your show that I got on for the first time, and everybody kind of like noticed when I spoke at your conclave. So I thought it was befitting to be here. But I think all of it is very overwhelming. I'm not coming in at a time where everything is hunky-dory in Kashmir. We're going through a very turbulent period where there's been a sense of siege. There's a sense of despondency, despair. And to kind of like dispel that is going to be incredibly hard. Like, how do you give people the power to hope, the audacity of hope? How do you tell them to hope for a better future when you know that there's a government sitting in Delhi that is going to take decisions repeatedly every day that wants to disinherit, dispossess and disempower the people of Jammu and Kashmir? So for me, that really essentially is the biggest challenge that, amongst like whatever is happening here in this atmosphere of despondency, how do I give my people hope? How do I, be a positive influence, a positive force, to kind of like reckon with?
Well, either way, we'll look at your campaign very, very closely. It's interesting that you've chosen to take the plunge in this big election in Jammu and Kashmir. We wish you well, as we wish all the candidates who choose to contest elections. May that democratic spirit flower in the Kashmir Valley. Thank you very much, Iltija Mufti, for joining me here on the news today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll watch those elections in Jammu and Kashmir closely. We end tonight's show with a ground report from Gujarat. Heavy rainfall has been witnessed in several parts of the state over the last 48 hours. It's led to waterlogged streets, swollen rivers, flooding and infrastructural damage. The situation is only expected to worsen, with the weather department warning of even more rainfall in the next couple of days. In view of the heavy rain, Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel held an emergency meeting taking stock of the current situation. Our thoughts and prayers as I leave you tonight are with the people of one of my many home states, the state of Gujarat. Good night, Shubh Ratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
waterlogged streets. Uprooted trees. Submerged vehicles. Heavy rains cripple Gujarat. Relentless downpour for the third consecutive day has resulted in widespread flooding in low-lying areas. Monsoon mayhem has thrown life out of gear.
पानी नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, खाना नहीं है. पर these are God. All these people are God for us.
कितने परिवार के सारे लोग आ गए हैं और अंदर कितने लोग हैं?
अरे सर, हर जगह पूरा घर सब भरे पड़े, लेकिन सब अपनी अपनी स्थितियों के हिसाब से. हम नहीं बेयर कर पा रहे थे तो हमने हेल्प मांगी तो उन्होंने दे दी.
Ahmedabad and Vadodara are amongst the badly impacted cities.
इस बार जो पानी है वो ऊपर से भी पानी आ रहा है और यहाँ पे भी बारिश पिछले 24 घंटे में इतनी हुई है. ये पहली बार ये सर्कल तक यहाँ पे पानी आया हुआ है और वो भी विश्वामित्री नदी का पानी यहाँ तक पहली बार आया है.
More than 6,000 people were relocated to safer places as water levels in dams and rivers started rising. NDRF and SDRF teams have been deployed across every part of the state for rescue operations. The centre has also deployed 6 army columns to Gujarat to support relief, rescue and disaster management efforts. Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel held a high-level meeting with collectors, municipal commissioners and district officials to assess the impact of rains in the state. The Met Department has predicted isolated, extremely heavy rainfall in most parts of the state for next 2 days. Bureau Report, India Today.